This week we're on Pauri number 13. And just to recap on the first verse within this Manne series has a different spelling for the word Manne than the rest of the 3 verses. So in the first verse, the spelling is Manne with a lam. And Manne are the people who accept, who have known and accepted. Manne. Manne is talking about the people. Pauri 13 begins with the word Manne. And the word Manne is not talking about the people, it is talking about the outcome of accepting, the benefits of accepting. And 13, 14 and 15, these pauris are all now talking about Manne, because there is very little that can be said about the people who are in this state. Guruji starts by saying, Manne surt hove man buddh. Notice the difference in pronunciation between Manne and Manne. Manne surt hove man buddh. Surt comes from the word surti. Surt comes from the word surti. And here Guru Nanak Dev Ji is beginning to outline what is common knowledge about the 4 aspects of consciousness. Within the Hindu tradition, consciousness has been broken down into sub-levels. What is it that makes us conscious? What is the mind? What is it made up of? What are the elements of it? And consciousness in old Hindu scriptures has been given the word antekaran. Antekaran, which means consciousness. And antekaran has 4 levels. The 4 levels of antekaran are beginning to be described here. Guruji references some of them here. Later on, towards the end of JAPJI Sahib, Guruji mentions all 4 of them. Tithe kariye surt mat man buddh. But here Guruji is just talking about 2 of them. So what are these 4 levels? What are these 4 aspects of our mind? Because if you think about it, the body is very clear to understand. You have arms, you have legs, you have organs inside your body. But then you just have this thing called mind. And that's supposed to be a catch-all term. Guruji is saying that actually there is existing knowledge about what is this consciousness, what are we made up of. So the 4 things that Guruji is referencing here is already existing knowledge. It's common knowledge. Consciousness is made up of manas, which is simplified to man, buddhi, chit, and hankar. And I'll go through what the meaning of these words are. So we'll go through those 4 sections again. Man. The first one is man or manas. And this is what we would call the mind, not manas. Manas is mankind. Manas. Yeah, this is manas, man.
How would you spell that?
Mama nana, man, as opposed to man, which is mama kanna nana. So man, mind, the key function of what they called man is determination and willpower. Man controls determination and willpower, but within this also exists desires and emotions. Man, determination or willpower, the part of you that makes the decision to go do something or to not do something. Buddh is your intelligence, your intellect. This is where reasoning resides. Intellect. Buddh is the part of you that decides whether something is right or wrong. That's your Buddh, Buddhi. So, when we talk about Buddha, the enlightened, there we are referring to somebody of the highest intellect. The one who got the highest understanding is the Buddha. That comes from this word Buddh. So this is where you decipher. This is where you decide your deep-rooted morals, your deep-rooted ideas and ideals in your intelligence, wisdom. The next is Chit. Chit includes Surt as well. Surt and Chit are used within this category. Chit is the part of your mind that is to do with memory. And even today we talk about Chete Rakhna, Gal nu Chete Rakhna. Keep this within your memory. Surt, which is part of this area, is about present moment awareness. So both of them are about awareness of something happening in time. Surt, Surti is about being aware of what's happening now. Chit is about something that has already happened. Put your awareness, bring your awareness onto something that has happened. Memory. So both of them are related. Surt, whenever we talk about Surti, it's about in the here and now. Chit is about memory, remembering something. The last one is Ahankar. That is self-identity, I am. And within Ahankar is where all your attachments are stored. When you're attached to something, it isn't a thought. You don't think about being attached to something. It's a little bit more deep-rooted than that. Ahankar. This is what creates the notion that this is who I am. And we have an attachment to all of the things above. We are attached to our memories. We are attached to our ideals and our opinions, our intelligence, our thoughts. They're the things that we like to hold on to. Good and bad ones define who we are. You'll notice if you ever have a car accident, for the next day or two, you're constantly reliving that car accident. So your mind has had a trauma. It's gone, it's in the past. But part of suffering is to keep reliving that trauma, to keep bringing that into the present moment. And the longer you do that, the longer you build that from being just a memory into an identity. Your memories create your identity. This is why Hankar is like the base. And in an argument, you're very right. An argument is a great example. You're constantly reliving that argument. Now, it goes even further than that. We've talked about having attachments to our memories. But what happens if you experience a trauma? The interesting thing about the mind is that the mind cannot tell the difference between reality and reliving of a reality. So if, for example, you go through a trauma, an accident, an argument, or whatever it is, your body at that point releases chemicals to deal with that trauma. So let's talk about adrenaline. I think the bodies, they've identified at least 4 what they call happy chemicals as well, and it works for both. We talk about oxytocin, serotonin, all of these kind of happy chemicals. But in the same way, there are chemicals that are being released to deal with trauma. And you'll notice that actually, when you have an argument, you'll have a physical response to that, which is that fight or flight. When your body goes through that, it has to deal with those chemicals in the body. When the mind is reliving that trauma, the body is having the same chemicals being released again and again. Because the mind just says, trauma is happening, I need to have some chemicals to deal with this trauma. Even though you're just thinking about it. Now, what happens, why people go into a perpetual cycle, is because the body then starts getting used to those chemicals. So let me clarify that. You go through a trauma, your body releases chemicals. Sadness is one of these examples. Depression is essentially this. The body releases a chemical. The more the body releases that chemical, it thinks that it needs that chemical to survive. It continues to do that. And that's why people go into a perpetual cycle of just living in a trauma, because they are now no longer just stuck within the mind. Their body feels like it needs those chemicals. So, in effect, depression is addictive. They have become addicted to the chemicals of depression. The same can be said for those people who are constantly chasing a buzz, a high. The people who are abusing narcotic substances. It again is the body saying, I need that chemical. So what happens in the mind has a physical response in the body. And this is where it becomes far more complicated to treat someone who just says that they're stuck in this cycle of depression, of trauma. Because it's now no longer something that is just within the mind. Present moment awareness releases its own chemicals. And you are now almost flushing out and retraining the body. The more that you remain in the present moment, the more that you detach from past memories and sit within the present moment, in a moment of no time, no past, no future, simply looking at where you are right now, it's almost as if you're flushing the body. And this is why meditation and present moment awareness is so therapeutic. Because it's getting you out of that cycle. So Hankar is attachments to all of these things. Your self-identity is dependent on attachments to your memories, to your ideas, to your emotions. So your man, your buddh and your chit creates your hankar. Now, when we understand that the mind is the determination part of you, you'll see why Gurbani talks to the man more than anything else. Gurbani doesn't reference the hankar. It doesn't say, oh my hankar, why are you like this? The hankar is the byproduct of the other things. But it does say, e man meria, because within the mind is determination. Oh my mind, get up in the morning. Oh my mind, recite Naam. Because that's the part of you that has the illusion of free will. It's the bit that you can control, or at least there is a perception that you have a control. I would say you have to train the mind. You have to almost get the mind, which is where routine and your nitnem and your rath and all these things, these are ways of taming the mind. Essentially, Guru is a conversation between the enlightened state of being, which is this ultimate present moment consciousness, we can call it God, and mind. All of Gurbani is kind of a debate between these two, a conversation between the two. And which is why Gurbani talks to man more than anything else. It doesn't talk to Buddh. Gurbani isn't about rationality. It's not talking to the rational mind, although Gurbani is quite rational. It is referencing the willpower part of you, the bit of you that makes that decision in the morning that says, do I need to wake up? Do I need to get out of bed? So then now you can begin to understand why Gurbani references man more than anything else. And why does Gurbani use rag to influence that message? Rag means emotions, creates a different emotion, and the emotion is the vessel, the vehicle on which the message is being carried into the mind. I mean, we haven't even begun to study the vibrations of Gurbani and the effect on the cells and sound as a technology, frequencies.